Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 24 with the Boston Red Sox. I will never not do the horrible accent. I refuse to apologize. Um, Give me just 1 second and we'll get started. It's been a really weird month for weather so far, which means I just have to run the heat in the morning, but then I don't need it the rest of the day. What it means is my throat tends to be a little more dry in the morning. So I beg your indulgence. If I have to clear my throat, I have to take pauses to get some water, but here we are. So, last episode, we fell a game short of the World Series. Realistically, 2 games, but we fell a game short. And on the one hand, that's a little disappointing, but on the other hand, we're still an incredibly potent team. We've done a really good job of identifying the best possible talent from the Negro League to supplement our existing roster, even while our draft classes have been utterly uninspired. If we take a look at my favorite view, the default view, the super default view, we do have some draft picks, but they're not for important players. Everett Scott, go away, thank you. I thought Joe Strip was going to be our starting third baseman. He still might be. But he's the only important player that we got through the draft. And we took him 15th overall. So yeah. Um Oh, this is when I acquired them. Got it. And these are people I started with. The pitching story isn't much better. We're getting some people in the draft, but again, not very many, and the ones we are getting aren't having a big impact. Part of the issue is quite simple. The drafts are really thin at this point in history. They're very, very thin. Which is fair, because historically, the draft didn't exist yet. The first amateur draft, I think, is like the early 60s? Let me check. MLB rule for draft. I think that's that's what it's officially called. It began in 1965. So there we go. 1965. So what that means is I don't even have a minor league team yet. And so that is a challenge that we're facing as we're trying to build a team because it's successful. Without the Negro Leagues, this would be especially painful because I wouldn't really have a way to bring in top tier talent. I just wouldn't have the option. Because of the reserve clause, it's comically easy to keep the players you want to keep. All this is being said, that's the situation we find ourselves in. For better or worse, that's where we are. And so something that I want to do, actually, something I want to do is I want to get rid of the, that's not what I want. I want to get rid of the fake default view, the one that I don't like. Yeah, get fucked. I don't like that one. All the rest of these is actually pretty handy for different things. I don't need personality and morale. I can just read that. To get rid of these two as well. There you go. What do I just do to everything to global? Don't have to fucking worry about it. That sounds amazing. I love it. We're doing it. It's happening right now. There's honestly something, Sarah, I don't really feel the need to get either, but I'd rather have it than not need it. So we're gonna hit OK. And now, I don't have to fucking worry about it, which is great. Okay, I feel pretty good about that. I'm pleasantly chuffed. Um, so, anyways, that's the situation we find ourselves in. If we didn't have the Negro Leagues, it'd be really hard to add talent, which is kind of what happened in the major leagues. Remember, in this era, players are basically picked from any number of places, whether it's American Legion Ball, whether it's Sandlots, whether it's with the occasional college baseball player, but that certainly was not the rule of thumb. Is people playing semi-pro baseball for a while for like company teams or the American Legion, like I said, and then oh by the way, they're really really good. Let's hire them. And OOTP can't replicate that. I don't see whether that system could ever work in a video game. I just don't. Um, and so I completely get why they have the draft. I think it makes sense. It gives. It's not like oh one team gets all their best players. Fantastic. But that's the situation where that all the teams equally find themselves in, except for the ones started with a lot of talent to begin with. Which, to be fair, we had some. If we take a look, we have two 80s, both from the Negro Leagues, and Foster and Streeter. And then if we look offensively, we have basically a bunch of 60s. With Hani Manouche having an extra gear. Oh god, he's never playing in center field. Don't be fucking stupid. That's the dumbest idea I've heard so far today. Um, Plus there's the Joe Jackson question, which is his terrible defense hurting us to the point where he's no longer a viable option? Because he's basically costing us a win every time he goes out to play in a season. He is already 35, so there is definitely an argument to be made to trade him now. Let's kick the tires on the trade market. And I'll be clear, I just want the very best possible player I can get in return, who's ideally younger, if such a player exists. Harry Hooper is not younger. He's a better defender, but I don't think so. Heidi Mueller isn't that interesting. Les Sheehan isn't that interesting. I need at least a midterm suggestion plan for Grimy, but I don't think that's a need yet. Duffy Lewis is as old as him. Del Pratt doesn't even play that well. Elmer Smith's not that interesting, and I guess that's the problem we found ourselves in. I could trade Chulas Joe, but I wouldn't get very much in return, and I don't want to trade him just to trade him. I'd put him on the reserve roster before I'd trade him just to trade him, in case somebody gets hurt or whatever. But that's where we are right now. We're a great team, and we'd like to get better, but that's going to be a constant effort to constantly revitalize our team and our organization. Coaching is set. We're good there. Um, I gotta say, the staff cohesion minigame is quickly becoming uninteresting to me. I talked about this a little bit in the A's video, and I think even last week's Red Sox video. It feels like instead of constantly just picking the people that are best fit for my team, I'm being forced to pick people that are subpar because of this silly system, which is realistic, but I don't think it's super well implemented. Anyway, I'm gonna think on it, and as time progresses, I will maybe consider it. Team chemistry, I'm fine with, because team chemistry is both easy to it's both easy to get a handle on, but also it's very interesting, and I like how you're gonna pick players that are captains, even if they might not be top tier. We also have a lot of fucking leaders, like a lot of them, so many. We could use an actual captain though. It's true. It's just the team cohesion. I I just don't like it. Staff cohesion rather. Am I just gonna turn it off? I'm gonna leave it for y'all. In the comments to tell me what you think. If it's worth the hustle of no, you know what? No, I'm sorry. I'm turning it off. I'm doing the A's game too. I just can't get behind it right now. I'm sorry. If it's something you personally find compelling, good for you. but I do not find it interesting. Coaching cohesion impact, none. And for the sake of consistency, I'm going to turn it off. And so now you can't even see it, which is great. I'm now going to go ahead and switch over to the A's franchise, just like that, just so I can do it on camera so I don't forget. Um, Here's the other saves we have with OTP 24. Wow. But yeah, I can't enjoy it the way that it's currently presented, where I have to pick people that are just terrible for the team, and in a way that feels inorganic. Because yeah, it doesn't feel interesting to me. So if that annoys you, I'm sorry, but cohesion impact, I don't even care. I'm gonna keep team chemistry though. I do like team chemistry. Team chemistry feels really fun, because it feels organic, and I can just get rid of a player that I don't like. Whereas for coaching, I'd rather just get the best coaches I can. And maybe this will also have an impact on how our minor leaguers have been developing. But anyways, maybe they'll work on it in OTV 25, where coaching coaching feels a little bit more rewarding. But I think coaching system mid period just needs to be overhauled. That's just my opinion. They've come a long way from where it was a few years ago, but I still think there's other gains to be made to make things more interesting. Okay. Let's quickly check on free agency. If there's anybody here that makes me a happy sausage. Oh my god, what did you do, game? You did it again, game. You brought all of these back. I didn't want them. It's because I switched to the A's. I have to make sure to delete it in the A's one too. Delete. Can I delete more than one view at a time? Allegedly, I cannot. No, I'm just getting rid of all of these. That's the issue. Is I don't want any local views. I'll make sure to do it in the A's franchise when I fire it up for Friday. But yeah, it's because I loaded the A's franchise, but still had those views in them. That the game's like, oh, you must want them for the Red Sox too. I do not. Cease thy nonsense, game. But yes, are there interesting players who had in free agency? I have basically an unlimited budget, which is nice and not realistic because that's why we got rid of fucking Babe Ruth. But I also don't think there's going to be much in the way of quality free agents, if I'm honest with you. And there is not. There's a couple of interesting relievers, but not to the point where I'm going to go ahead and spend money right now. Let's just advance time a bit. Good point. George Scales does need to come back. I don't know where his best position is, but I'm comfortable playing him at second base for now. Then what do you do with Rabbit Moranville? Rabbit Moranville is actually becoming an issue. Because yes, he has tremendous defensive value, but he's losing his defensive caliber. He used to be an elite defender, and now he isn't. So shortstop might be on the list of people to replace. Everett Scott's still pretty decent. Everett Scott might be our better shortstop now. Compared to Rabbit Moranville. I wonder if anybody would take Rabbit Moranville. Potentially. Just for fucking Wally Hood, who I've never heard of before and who isn't very good. Okay. And we're gonna be limited. By what is available to us, but let's go ahead and zip through award season, see if we come home with any gold. I feel pretty strongly we'll end up with some of it. We got some Silver Sluggers for Grimy and Heavy Johnson. Oh, so Heavy Johnson's our shortstop. That's right, which means um, the new guy can be there. Unanimous for Sam Streeter. Well done, Sam, for our Cy Young winner. That's it, which seems a little disappointing. Like I thought we'd get a gold glove, but that's fine. We're just gonna zip along right to the winter meetings. Let's take another look at regency now. Has it changed? It really has not. And the thing is, I don't know that there's anything we do need. If we just ran it back with this roster, minus Rabbit Morainville, but plus Spiky, Scaly. Oh no, too late. um, we're just gonna leave that one alone. Or having him play third base. I think we've got a lot of potential to just run it back and have a pretty successful year. I'd like a little bit more depth. I'd like so long term scales is the grimy replacement. Like that's obvious to me. But Grime is also not ready to be put out to pasture yet, because he's getting done what he needs to get done, and I very much appreciate that. Although, it's critical to mention this guy here. It is unusual for a first baseman to derive this much of his value from hitting triples. This will dry up, and when it dries up, he may be in a position where he's far less valuable to us, especially because players lose speed first. It's a skill that every player loses before any other skill as you get slower over time. Um, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we can manage. Um, we gotta kill some dead weight on the reserve roster for sure. Let's do that. Organization, a roster. We want the reserve roster, and let's just start flat out murdering people. Yes, Valenbois, the player who literally can't play anywhere in the outfield. I want that. No, wait, I want the opposite. Released into the wild. I love this filter. It's my favorite filter by far. Oh my god, game. Really? You're just gonna keep doing this? It just keeps coming back? What? I'm gonna try an experiment. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do this during the thing here, but I'm gonna try an experiment. If I leave one thing in local views, will it stop repopulating it? That's my question. And I'm going to leave probably financial info and popularity info because I don't have those captured on the other screens. Let's find out. And if it doesn't work, I'll just accept it. Oh, I do want position ratings moved over. No, I already have that one. Never mind. Okay, I'm gonna hit OK. Okay, we'll see if this actually works this time. We'll see. We'll see. Let us now advance time a bit farther. I will officially put Rabbit Moranville and Joe Jackson on the trading block. And see if we get any offers from people. Oh, we can have some Hall of Fame voting now as a treat. This is a thoroughly unremarkable and uninteresting Hall of Fame class. I'm still going to do some voting for it, but it's not particularly compelling. Like, I'm voting for people just for sake of voting for somebody, but I don't really feel passionately about any of these guys. But I'll still vote for them, I guess. Submit ballot. Alright, it's draft time. And once again, it's probably going to be extremely top heavy. Let me confirm my suspicions. Yeah, it just keeps fucking up. It's fine. It's fine. I will use the regular old default because I think that's more interesting and more useful to me. So again, top heavy draft, very top heavy, where we have four superstars and then a bunch of people that are less compelling. Um, the same as it ever was. Like, there's no chance in hell. I would be very happy at Woody English. That would be my fondest wish, and he will not be available anywhere near where I need him to be. So we're gonna have to adapt to somebody else. Tex Carlton is available. He is an available player. Lefty Thomas, I don't really want to keep investing in the bullpen. At a certain point, it's just diminishing returns, and I don't think he's critical to us. Now, Tex Carlton has the advantage of being a really good pitcher that's going to develop over time, and I love that. There's a lot to like about him. My only concern is the fact he is 18 years old. This is not a player who's going to be ready for the major leagues in the near future. But we did have issues last year where we weren't able to find quality starting pitching. And so I think I will draft him. Even if I don't necessarily feel great about it, I think he is the best choice. So we're gonna go. We're gonna make that happen. Ball player Cooney is an interesting player, but I don't think he's a good fit for the club. He's basically Rabbit Moranville right now with a little bit of a better bat. I don't know how compelling I find that. I keep saying compelling today. Apparently, that's my magic word for today. Eh, eh. Look, there's decent players here, but I can't find myself getting worked up about any of them. Like, ball player Cooney is very clearly the best hitter available. Even if he's just going to be a mid tier shortstop, there's still something to be liked about this. There's also Al Lopez. There is also Al Lopez, and I think he's the best choice because he actually has pretty high offensive capabilities, but also being a pretty solid catcher. I think he's a good choice, and I think we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna offer him. We're gonna meet his demand. Done. Eddie Kalina is an interesting player. Like, he's not a pitcher, but he's an interesting enough hitter that I think he's worth taking. I will offer you the slot. Ball player McGee, how can I resist that? Very easily, as it turns out. I actually like Bill Akers. All it's going to take is if we can get a little bit of luck and his contact improves even a little bit, he offers a unique profile as a shortstop, and I think it makes him an interesting piece to our. And I just clicked on the wrong button. Way to go, me! You could easily have your $40 easily. That would buy a lot of shit though back in the 1920s for sure, for sure. I think I don't see anything else that's particularly compelling. I will look for a high stuff guy. Lefty Thomas is still around. If really nobody else wants him, I will offer him his $350. That seems reasonable. And then I think that's it. I don't think there's enough interesting players left in the draft to really get me excited. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of catchers for now, no, ball player Kaufman is fine. Plus, also Toriento you can catch, which is pretty wild. Um, um, I'll guess I'll check the Rule 5 draft and we'll see if we can find ourselves a diamond in the rough there. A potential thing. What about good old Dick here? Dick Jackson would quite honestly be one of the best backup infielders we've ever had. He's really good defensively. I think he's a fine addition to our roster, and we're going to take him. Done. Carl East is an interesting enough guy off the bench that I'm willing to give him an opportunity. A Chrysler-tunity. Done. And that's it. That's two role players, but useful ones, I think. And the Yankees are just looting people hand over fist, which is funny. Because generally the people you get in the Rule 5 draft aren't that fantastic, but meh. Let's check free agency again. It's really only relievers that are being offered, which is not great. Kind of a dull off season, I have to acknowledge. Not a lot there, but we get good old Clarence Craft, who literally hits home runs and nothing else. That seems like a terrible use of my resources. Nobody got voted in, and they're starting to run out of momentum. Except for Frank Baker. I still think Homer Baker's got a reasonable chance to make it in, but for everything else, there's MasterCard. Wait, that didn't make any sense. It did not make any sense. Let me just casually raise my budget, but I still can't do anything with the extra money. This is the inverse situation of the Oakland A's. So it's like it is not possible for me to spend more money than I. Oh, I guess I can spend more. 15276 done. Player development. You can spend triple. I'm just gonna do like 30,000, and it just automatically resets it. Okay. Cool. Very cool. What do we got here? Sam Scooter gets a little bit worse. Dick McCabe gets a little bit better. Wait Hoyt gets a little bit worse. Bill Holland gets a bit worse. Again, spring trading numbers, we can't look too much into them. A big jump is more interesting to us than a big drop. Like Joe Strip is getting better, which is great. Honey Minutia is getting better, which is phenomenal because he sure shit isn't going to be playing center field. Like whoever's idea is to make him play center field when he's so bad at it is comical. Like Joseph Reddy, uninteresting. Red Proctor, uninteresting. Phil Collins might be an amazing drummer, but not interesting. Your trade is in rejected, but thank you for shopping at the Boston Red Sox, Philadelphia. All right. Anybody on the reserve roster I want to bring up? I do want to bring up Lefty Thomas, Hap Collard, ball player Jones. But where's that one pitcher? I need to make sure he's turned into a hitter. He's a shit ass pitcher. Was it Ed Kalina? Yeah, it's Ed Kalina. No, 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 my friend. You are not a pitcher. Not even a belly itcher. I'm gonna turn you into a first baseman, and we're gonna see what you look like at a first as a first baseman. You're at least better. Like you're a better, more interesting player as a first baseman than you ever were as a pitcher, so that helps. And that's no, I will call it Palea too. That's fine. Lineups, I'm gonna let you go ahead and do things the way you'd like, just for now. Chuck Dressen at third base over Strip isn't my favorite idea, but then again, Strip is still quite green. So I'm not totally opposed to it. And then let's go ahead and get the pitching staff set up. Wait Hoyt as a closer is an interesting idea. I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm willing to at least try it throughout spring training. But he's going to be a starter. Like, there's no, there's no debating it for me. But let's get it. Ike Powers improving. Lefty Wolf getting worse. That's kind of yikes. Joe Mulch getting better. Nothing too crazy has happened, which is fine. We definitely want to sim through the end of the games in case somebody gets hurt. And then we're going to get the roster set up. So I presently have 32 players. That's too many. I want to be down to 10 pitchers. So 4 pitchers got to go. I like how Hap Collard goes from being a reasonable starting pitching option to just instantly flaming out spectacularly. Yeah, he's literally the worst. Oh, I guess the issue is he's much better as a. Wait, what? I set him to reliever and set him back to starter. He just literally sucks. So okay, off you go. Um, hang on a second. Okay. Um, I think at a certain point, Earl Webb is less useful than he is just there. But I do think keeping him around for one more season is fair. So let's see here. Yeah, a lot of my pitchers just have like melted all of a sudden because they're losing velocity. That makes sense, actually. It makes a lot of sense. So Benny Boy, you get demoted. Um, 2 more pitchers gotta go. I still believe in Bill Holland, but I do think both Hampton and Holland might benefit more from being in the minors. So I'm going to rebuild the staff the way that I want them built. So, very, very obviously, Sam Streeter is number 1. He's our ace. We love him. Then Bill Foster, equally obvious. Then Wade Hoyt. Wade Hoyt has been too good a starter for too long to give up on him now. He's durable. He gives us lots of innings. He's a good choice. And then Dick McCabe is going to be. Wasn't Joe Bush pretty good? No, Joe Bush was actually pretty terrible last year. So we're gonna use Dick McCabe as our 5th starter, 4th starter. Now let's look at pitching ratings. I have no idea what's going on, but that's okay. All relievers. Our best all-around pitcher. Oh shit, Red Lucas. No, fuck Dick McCabe. Red Lucas is getting the last spot. Because Red Lucas actually still has a future on him, whereas Dick McCabe a little bit less so. Dick McCabe's going to be our emergency starter, long reliever. That's a given. But who's our closer? I think it's Pelea because unlike the rest of my pitchers, he's got pretty good control. And so I think making him a stopper is going to be pretty useful. So we're going to make him a stopper. We're going to bring him in the seventh inning. You're very much a long man who shouldn't be used in high leverage situations. And then the rest of you guys are just middle relievers, and we're going to use you as your skills dictate. I love having these big strikeout guys as options, but there is going to be a natural strike because their control isn't the best. But I think this is a pretty decent bullpen. We have a little bit of depth in Dick McCabe in case the starting pitcher gets hurt. Um, I'm reasonably pleased about what we've got going for us, and we're gonna reset to Streeter because he's ready to go. This leaves me with 28 players, which means you got to rid of 3 position players. Um, Rabbit Morainville's definitely leaving. We're gonna put him on the reserve roster. If I'm not going to play Joe Strip, I'd rather he be on the reserve roster. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to put him on the reserve roster and let him develop a little bit with relatively low pressure. That seems good. And then other position player wise, Whitey Witt is not very good. I need a center fielder quite badly. I need a genuine center fielder. I'm gonna quickly check to see who's available in free agency. And then I'm going to go ahead and check through the Negro Leagues and see whether there's a center fielder we can find. Yeah, there's nobody there. I need a proper center fielder. Um, Quite desperately, in fact. So let's take a peek. Let's take a peeky weeky, and we're just gonna go team by team, looking to see if anybody has an interesting center fielder. Nope. Ernest Duff isn't the worst, but he's also not better than what we've currently got. Detroit is a nope. 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 Willie Bobo's an amazing player, but he can't play center field. And I don't need a regular outfielder, I don't think. Nope. Guys, could you please play center field for me? That would be great. No, okay, that's where we are. That's fine. So yeah, I'm not playing Heidi Minutia center field. You can't make me. But is he genuinely the best choice? That's what I find terrifying. His arm isn't the best, but Whitey Wood is only marginally better. He did have a pretty good season for us, though, so there's actually an argument to be made to giving him another chance. Um, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna sign that one really crazy outfielder guy. He played for Kansas City. Yeah, we're signing you. Deal with it. Um, I recognize this means I not have to send somebody else to reserve roster. I don't care. When you can get a mega elite talent like Willie Bobo on your franchise, you have to do it. Um, okay, Johnson to shortstop. That's the most critical decision that gets made this season. Wait, you just took away his ability to play shortstop at all? Like it's just gone? Yes, he can no longer play shortstop. So I do have to have you in the outfield if I'm going to keep you at all. That's irritating. I've got too many outfielders, though. I have way too many outfielders. I've got to trade Joe Jackson, maybe to get a center fielder, but I need to trade him at this point. Ira Flagstad, you're in. I'm not gonna hesitate. You're exactly what I needed. Done. I'm sorry, fans, but we needed a quality center fielder, and now we have one. We have a center fielder I can trust now. This should help us out significantly. And I still got to go to two more players, which are gonna be probably Whitey Whit and Hack Miller. Question mark. I think Ernie Holman will actually be the other one we send down. There we go. It's our opening day roster. Let's get the lineup stat. All players. And Nougat. So we're going to look at batting ratings. Willie Bobo instantly becomes our best player by far. But I want him to be hitting cleanup since Heavy Johnson has declined somewhat. And actually, he bats third. Manouche bats second. Um, Grimy leads off. I think Grimy does lead off. And then who's my right fielder now? No, 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 game. Manouche can play right field. I'm sure he'll pick it up very quickly. Um, Ira Flagstead is gonna bat a bit lower in the lineup. I'm thinking we're gonna have him bat sixth. That seems reasonable. So interestingly, shortstop now becomes Everett Scott by default, which I'm not a big fan of, but I guess I'll go ahead and slot him into the lineup. Who else is a decent mixture of power and on base skill? It could be Heavy Johnson, but thinks he's running up positions he can play. Because I'm not benching any of my outfielders just for Heavy Johnson, no matter how good he's been in the past, because he can no longer play the infield at all. I don't know why he can't. I don't know what happened, but he can no longer handle the infield, and that makes him far less interesting to me and far less valuable. Wally Shang is gonna hit seventh, I think, is fair. I think George Scales can hit cleanup for now. And then third base is interesting. Third base is very interesting. Hmm. I guess it's Chuck Dressen by default. I don't feel great about it, but yeah. Hmm. I think Flagstad's gonna hit fifth, and Dressen's gonna hit there. Let's go and fill out the rest of the roster. Yeah, for now. Let's get it done. Do all of the depth charts, please. Here we go. No. Heidi Manouche is by far and away one of our best hitters. He is playing every fucking day. Like, let's not be silly here. It's not a hard decision to make. And we're just gonna copy and paste it over. Like, I don't think getting too worked up about platoon matchups is worth spending our time on it. There we go, done. Are there any trades I'd like to make? Heavy Johnson feels like somebody else that other teams would value quite a bit. If I could trade him for, say, a really good third baseman or second baseman, let's try it. Let's try to trade you for an infielder. It's just going to be first baseman, isn't it? Yeah, that's all it is. That's fine. The issue isn't my scouting director, is it? Like, is my scouting director just the worst? Or. No, my scouting director is very good. I think it's just. We do favor tools a bit more. That's true. So we're going to tend to underrate established talent a little bit, but I still think it's the right call. Um, I'd love to tell you we can win the championship. I don't think that's very likely, though. I just don't right now. We'll have to see, though. I think the top part of our lineup is very compelling. It's very high quality, but beyond that, I think we're struggling. I guess probably my biggest concern is the down the lineup scoring. Um, I'm gonna keep an extremely close eye on what's his name, Strip. If he develops to a certain degree, he will almost certainly find himself in the major leagues before too much more time has passed. Um, man, 3 shutouts. That's pretty good. And I mean, we do have two of the best starting pitchers in the major leagues. So that's a critical advantage if our lineup can perform the way that we think he can. I don't care. He's a reserve player. The amount I care is zero. I don't even know who Tommy Thompson is. I don't even know who that person is. He slipped in the bathtub. Honestly, Matt, honestly, my friend, that's fair. Some things are tricky. We're really bad this season. Like, we're awful. What the fuck is going on? What is happening here? So the lineup is terrible. That's cool. I love that. We're just a worse team. Like, there's literally nothing I'm looking at here that says that we're very good. And as much as I know that we can respond in certain ways, like, this right now is a deeply, deeply unimpressive team. Which is very yikes. George Scales is literally replacement level. Our Flagstead is meh. Grimy has traded on base for power, which I don't necessarily approve of. I need him to be getting on base at a high clip. We're just not good. Um, which is funny because our raw talent levels include we actually should be very good. But we're not. So the most obvious player to swap out is Chuck Dressen. Mr. Dressen is struggling quite badly. Has Strip improved at all? I'm gonna very quickly request a scouting report on him and see how he's doing, and we're gonna some time for it a little bit. Do we have the scouting report yet? No, we did. Okay. So what do we know? He's getting worse. That's amazing. I love that. I love it. Is there any player whatsoever that we could acquire to make a difference? Sparky Adams would be a nice little upgraded second base. Let's quickly check the Negro leagues and see who might be available. I hate to keep coming back to this particular well, but it's a more efficient way to find quality players than hoping for the best in a trade. Grover Cleveland Alexander. Oh no, this is a different guy. Okay, interesting. Anderson Pryor is not terrible, but I'm really looking for infielders, to be honest with you. Angel Alfonso, while a good defender, is very limited offensively. I mean, Wilson Reedus is pretty impressive, but he's also not an infielder. It's a true statement. George Carr is technically an infielder. That's fair, but it's not what we're looking for. Yeah, this is unhelpful. Okay, we've got a couple players here. So Dewey Creasy is a pretty good third baseman. I think he would instantly give us more credibility. Um, to the extent where Branch Russell, I don't think would, but yeah, let's get Dewey Creasy. Purchase him. Do I purchase Branch Russell too? Like, the thing is, I think we do. I think we do get him too. We're gonna upgrade at both positions. Sending to the reserve roster is going to be your mother. Um, to the reserve roster goes. I like Scales being on the roster. I just don't necessarily like him being the starter. I think Hackmiller has to go. And we're going to use Creasy for that. And then Dressen is going to go down, and we're going to use Branch Russell. Um, so Creasy instantly slides in to third base and is going to begin hitting fourth immediately. And Russell's going to start hitting fifth and play second base. Second and Creasy. There we go. This should help. This should give us a bit more offensive staying power, hopefully. And let's just regenerate some depth charts, and then we can move on with our lives, our baseball lives. There you go. Okay. Let's do it. Joseph Reddy sucks. Like, there's nothing about him as a player that I find remotely interesting. I will put Heavy Johnson on the block if somebody else wants him, but I am not going to, like, invest heavily in it. I have 500 wins as a manager, which is great news. Red Lucas does keep getting better. He definitely seems to be one of the rare draft picks. He's really working out for us. Crystal Toriente is getting worse, but he's still a fairly good catcher, which is pretty funny. Right. What's going on this year? We're just mid. I mean, that's all I can say right now is that we're just mid. Losing Everett Scott's going to hurt a lot because I don't have a shortstop that can handle the position at all. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, that fucked us pretty hard. To have anybody who can play shortstop without embarrassing themselves. I have Rabbit Moranville. Um, I guess we could get some calling in as a treat. Poor Sam Jones. There was a time when he was an important part of this team. Yeah, we're gonna release some people. Done. Now let's go back to defensive shortstop. Anybody? Bueller? Bueller? No? Okay. Um, are there any shortstops in free agency that can actually shortstop? Literally none. Okay. Fuck. I mean, Dick Jackson isn't the worst at shortstop. No, he is the worst. Okay. Thanks, game. Thank you. I need a shortstop. And Heavy Johnson can't play shortstop anymore. This is an unexpected development. It makes me sad. Okay, Carl East just sucks. Like, there's nothing redeeming about Carl East. He gone. I'm not going to release him yet, but I will very shortly if I can find a interesting player. I need a shortstop, guys. Give me a shortstop. Give me your shortest of stops. Roger Peckinpah, you're in. Let's think of somebody who's as good, but maybe a little bit younger. Chick Galloway is fine, but Roger Peckinpah, I think, is the choice. He's my dude. Welcome aboard. I'm sorry, guys. I'll miss Heavy Johnson for sure. I think he was one of my favorite discoveries, but we need a shortstop. We need a major league caliber shortstop. Even though, let's face it, I think we're boned. Like, I truly believe that we are boned, that we're not going to have any sort of chance to. I will go ahead and bring Chuck Dressen back to give us a little bit of flexibility. But anyways, I think we're boned no matter what. And there's an argument to be said: what if we just tanked to try to get a really good player in the draft next year? But for the moment, I think we're okay. For the moment, I think we have. I don't think it's going to matter very much. I think we're already way too far behind. Even if we go on the heater to end all heaters, we're not going to be a world championship team this year. It's just not happening. Um, we've lost way too much ground, and it's not ground we're going to be able to recover very effectively. So let's look at staff roles and our personnel works too, I guess. But yeah, we'll do this. No, I do need personnel because I need to know who's actually up. So Javi, you're a really good teacher. You don't have the best relationship with our team. I think I can let you walk and still get an upgrade as our coach. Our pitching coach is really good at teaching pitching, but doesn't have an. He has a pretty decent relationship with our pitchers. I think we go ahead and we keep Ambrose here. Mario Aguilar. I think him. Maybe let Aguilar walk too and see if we can't get better coaches that way. We'll have to see. If I bottom out this year, I could get fired, which would be really embarrassing, but is possible. It'd make me sad if we did, though. I would cry a little bit. I wouldn't cry, but I'd think about it. I don't know who from our roster actually gets to make the All Star game this year. Sam Streeter does, which seems pretty reasonable, and Willie Bobo. That's honestly and one more person that I thought we would have, so I'm not annoyed at all. Babe Ruth, of course, is being ridiculous again, as only he can be. It is what it is. A bit of a down year for us, to be fair. Phil Douglas sucks. No, thank you. Reject. I don't need bad relievers. I have no desire for that particular skill set. And Denver Grigsby just isn't that interesting. Like, I can get mediocre outfielders that are far better than him. Yes, I don't need relievers. Stop, game. Just stop. Stop deciding that the only thing I desperately need is relievers. It doesn't make any sense because I don't need relief pitching. I just don't. I haven't been looking at the bullpen, to be fair. There's probably, like, he's probably sucks and I'm just not paying attention. Well, he's actually pitching alright. Our bullpen is pretty terrible, but they're also not pitching all that frequently anyway, so. Like, let's be realistic here. The reason this team sucks is because we're not scoring runs. Like, we're not even close to scoring runs consistently. Like, thank goodness for Willie Bobo. Because without him, we have, like, no offense. The top part of the lineup is fine, but then you get down to Ira Flagstead and it just all starts to disintegrate from there. We've got to do better. We've got to do better. Somehow, some way, we have to do better. Hmm. Anybody want Rabbit Moranville for literally anything? Surely somebody is like, you know what I desperately need? An over the hill infielder who can't actually play the position anymore. I'm gonna go for Jess Wilson, even though he offers literally nothing of value, just because, yeah, I think he's good enough. Oh, I have to remind myself you have to go into this a different way, or it'll reset the clock. There's just nobody here that I find would be a good fit for this club. Yep, I'm done with the trading deadline. I don't need anything else. Sorry, man. Your bullshit trade proposal I was never going to accept anyway. Of here's a bad reliever. Give me your best players. Is like no. Cease. Sam Sphere gets a little bit better. Pohei gets a little bit better. Hoyt gets a little bit the same. Joe Bush throwing harder as he gets older is pretty funny. He's getting better, guys. He's getting better. We're just gonna end the season at this point, basically. Like, there's really not much that's gonna change, I don't think. Like, even if we go on the heater to end all heaters, we're 12 games back. It would be one of the greatest comebacks of all time if we somehow managed to get ourselves in playoff position. And I kind of fear that our upgrades have actually just bought us mediocrity, which isn't the best. Bill Foster got better. Tex Carlton is improving. Al Lopez is already major league ready, which is great news. Okay. Hmm. Nice. Yeah, I think we're fine. There's not even anybody that I can look at and say I definitely want to bring them up to get some reps in. Covered is bare, yo. Covered is bare as shit. Um, we've got some legit superstars. That's, I think, the best part of this. We have some legitimate superstars. We have Bobo and Manouche are legit superstars. And then we have Streeter and Foster. What we don't have is we don't have stars. Look, we've got useful players that fill important roles, like Ira Flagstead, for example, like Grimy. They're good players that do an important job, but they're not stars. Um, our pitching staff is fun. It's not our pitching staff's fault that the lineup decided not to score any runs at the beginning of the season. That's not their fault. Um, Pele's got 4 losses, but he's actually not pitching all that frequently anyway, and he's doing what I want to do, which is not give up home runs. He just walks too many people. Probably could use an upgrade in the bullpen, if I'm being honest with you. Um, but yeah, I think we just need a little bit more luck offensively, and maybe another capable player or two that's on the younger side. Willie Bobo, you are in no position to call out Roger Peckinpah because I'm not going to bench either one of them because I literally cannot afford to bench my only shortstop right now. So you're going to get sulky with me, and that's fine, but that's where we are. Poor Everett Scott. Everett Scott was legitimately a good player for us at times, but the game just passed him by. He was one of the best shortstops in the league for about 3 years, and then he just disintegrated. Poor guy. It makes Peckinpah even more important to us. I know who Dan Irby is and why you think I care that he got hurt. What did you do? You got bit by a rabid dog. Holy shit, man. You're only up for 3 fucking weeks? Respect. People who get bit by rabid dogs end up fucking dead. They don't end up, tee hee hee. I gotta recover for a couple of weeks. No, game. Stop injuring shortstops. That's not okay. Oh my god. Is there anybody here who can handle shortstop without embarrassing themselves? I want position ratings, sorry. Ed Poles, come on down. Now watch, I lose like the next 7 games because of not having a competent shortstop. Place on active roster. I'm just gonna slide him right in where Peckinpah is for now. How long? You're gonna be out 2 more weeks, so let's go ahead and put you on the injured list. And then Mr. Poles here is gonna come in and play shortstop while you're hurt. There was a brief moment. I don't know if you noticed when we were only 3 games out of first place. It's not going to happen. Like we're not going to come back and make the World Series. It wasn't going to happen. We are getting some nice improvements though, among our young pitchers, which is lovely. I appreciate that quite a bit. Toriente is getting worse. Manouche is getting better. Bobo, Hoyt, and Branch Russell. Nice. This is probably the worst possible thing that could have happened, where we played ourselves out of a good draft pick, thus ensuring that we'll probably struggle next season too. It is what it is, but that's kind of where we are right now. Poor Everett Scott. I really do feel bad for the guy. Tigers and Phillies again. Gee, it's almost like having Ty fucking Cobb is an important advantage. Um, Imagine that. Willie Bobo's gonna get some MVP votes, which makes me happy. Like he, at the very least, was a huge success, huge success. But we just weren't good enough. Like I'm not upset with how the team performed. I'm upset with the fact that we didn't get more out of some of our more what you call it. Oh, we also lost our first base coach as well to retiring, so something to think about. I get a new contract, which is nice, and then we're gonna revamp the coaching staff. And Tex Carlton, we got our top 10 pick. Because he slides in at number 8. Nice. Um, let us cogitate. What did we do well this season? Who are our star players? Who baseballed the best, in other words? Hi, Willie Bobo. Can you stop having people just nuke their fucking defensive ratings? Like, what has actually happened all of a sudden? He's still a good left fielder. You just randomly decided, no, he's a first baseman. Please stop, game. Quit being weird, game. Willie Bobo was amazing. A truly, truly inspired player. Cannot say enough good things about Willie Bobo. Led the league in on base percentage and runs and walks, while also being our best power hitter by far. But then we see some significant declines. Ira Flagstead was a very useful player indeed. Very, very useful. And a clear advantage to give us a good defensive center fielder who happens to be a pretty good hitter, too. Quit randomly shoving people on different positions. Branch Russell was a nice find, even though I don't think we had a lot of players that were kind of okay, but very few that were positive offensive contributors. Dewey Creasy was one exception. Dewey actually turned out to be a pretty good player for us and a pretty good hitter, and a good enough third baseman. So no complaints about Mr. Creasy. Peckinpah was instantly, and I hate to say this to speak ill of the recently retired, he was instantly light years better than Everett Scott. He's really motivated to play for us, and I think he's going to be an important part of our team next year. Heine Manouche was not a great corner outfielder, but for some reason he just didn't hit that well this year. I don't get it. Like everything about him, his stats say he's a really good hitter. I don't know what he could do differently, to be quite honest with you. I'm happy with him, but I do know that he isn't the best defender, and maybe we just need to play him at left field or whatever and just figure it out. But let's look at OPS plus. I think this is going to be a good example of who our best players were. Manouche was fine. Ray Grimes continues to triples at comically high numbers. Like I don't understand it. I truly cannot fathom how this man keeps hitting triples. Maybe this is just here where the rest of the league just got really, really good offensively. That could be what happened. And because I don't have very many home run hitters, we fall behind. That might be what actually happened here. Um, like Grimy is fine. We have a lot of players that are just fine, but other than Boba, we don't have very many elite position players this year. Yeah. We got to get some young offensive players. I think that is probably job number one. We have to find somebody to get more youth in our lineup. Because a lot of the guys that we have are like in their 30s, which definitely creates issues as far as future position playing. Cristobal Toriente, I think the game might have passed him by. Wait, where is Cristobal Toriente? Did you turn into a fucking starting pitcher again? Game, I'm going to murder you in the face. Thank you. Toriente continues to be a very positive contributor despite the fact he doesn't play all that frequently. He's probably the most valuable bench guy I've got, and I really treasure that, and I really appreciate that. Wally Shang probably needs to be replaced. I'm not saying this is his last year with us, but it's probably going to be his last year with us. Especially because Al Lopez is already a pretty reasonably is already a pretty reasonable catcher. Maybe Shang plays one more year and we let Lopez continue to develop, and that could be quite good. Ike Powers just came out of fucking nowhere to be an amazing reliever, but he's gonna have a definite role for certain on next year's club. Let's talk pitching. Carl East is not a pitcher. He's not in anything. Carl East is just released. There, done. That's what he is. He's gone. Pitching stats. We got another sensational season out of Streeter and Foster with Hoyt and Lucas. Our rotation was great. When your fourth starter is this good, you know you have a good pitching system. Now, Lucas's upside is always going to be limited because of the kind of pitcher he is. He also could be a decent two-way player if we needed an extra bat off the bench. So there's something to be said for that too. Our bullpen wasn't that great. Earl Webb was just terrible. I think we probably need to trade Earl Webb to somebody's going to make him a full-time outfielder. Surely somebody is going to want to offer us an interesting player for Earl Webb. Nope, just kidding. Les Sheehan is a good hitter, but I'll be damned if I'm going to get yet another outfielder that can't outfield. We might trade him for somebody later on. Yeah, I think what happened is the rest of the league got really good at offense, and we did not keep pace with them because we don't hit. Oh, we're apparently terrible base runners. That's funny. We literally cost ourselves 3 wins on the base. We were that bad defense on the base paths, which is funny. Um, hmm. I don't know what the answer is. We're gonna be picking pretty low in the draft again, which is unfortunate. Which is gonna make it hard for us to get replaced. Like this pisses me off that the Yankees continually just are able to print um first round draft picks, which makes it so hard for us to be in their neighborhood in the long term. But are things going to be better next year? Part of our problem is that two of our key offensive players are aging, and Grimy and Wally Shang. And Branch Russell, let's not forget, is also 30 years old. He's also a second baseman, so please stop game. There we go. That's a little bit better. Um, Actually, if we sort by age, we presently have four starters under 30, one of whom happens to be the backup shortstop we just signed. We have one player that is 30 and then several that are over 30. And I think that's a key part of our issue is that we're relying on these older players to be able to continue to perform at a high level. I need young talent somehow. Um, just for fun, let's check free agency real quick. And there's nobody here. Cool. Okay. There is Steel Arm Tyler, who's got a huge amount of upside as a starting pitch. He's got a gigantic amount of upside as a holy shit, he's good. That's a lot of money, but I think he's worth it. Let's do it. Or do we? He's such a good pitcher. Like maybe we just go super hard into pitching. Like this gives us flexibility to moving Red Lucas or Wade Hoyt into the bullpen. I think it just makes sense, guys. I think it just makes sense to just triple down on our biggest strength right now, which is our rotation, and just lean into that super hard. Oh, my friends, this is it for this episode. My note wasn't a terribly exciting one in terms of lots of moves to be made, but that is changing. I hope you are enjoying the series. If you are, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about our strategy thus far. And until next time, this has been Guardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.